let's say, easily accessible or easily applicable ways that Bhaktivinod Thakur penetrated or connected Krishna consciousness with the people in general was through bona fide songs. Prabhupada has made it quite clear that we should sing these songs, but he particularly says bona fide songs of our acharyas. Not just any song. It may be a nice song, it may be a song, maybe there's nothing particularly, let's say, unbona fide in the actual meaning, but the effect of singing a song is also connected to the fact that that song, or that, but in this case, publication of song books, etc., by the pure devotees of the Lord is perfectly appropriate. It's meant to facilitate, to accompany the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, to give in a very simplified form the pure essence of Krishna consciousness to people in general in a very, very attractive and a very easily digestible form. So this song is one of the really simple ones. It's not a particular mood. This song is more, you could say, a song of sambandha, which gives basic knowledge of the overview of, you could say, the path of devotion. It's not so much a particular practice within the path, but just an overview of the path, encouraging everyone to take to Krishna consciousness. Of course, we could say, emphasizing the chanting of the holy names. Lord Chaitanya is singing Gai Gora Madhushvare, singing the names of the Lord in a very sweet voice, the Mahamantra, and encouraging everybody, whether you are married, some of you are married, some of you are single, some of you are renounced, whatever we are, man or woman, he's encouraging everyone to sing the holy name of God, Krishna, whether we're happy, sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're distressed. That's the way the world is. It's not because of anything but the fact that the constitution of this world is such, duality. So sometimes we're faced with what we call happiness, and sometimes we're faced with what we call distress. Whether it's happy or distress, he says, fill your lips always with the holy name of Krishna. Thank you, sir. And then he describes how we are in this world of Maya. And generally we are struggling, toiling. You know this word toil? Means very hard struggle. Never-ending struggle. Toiling, working hard, sweating. Well, to the point we froth at the mouth practically. Struggling in this world, and we are fruitless. The amazing thing about it is this fruitless. You get some fruit, but it doesn't last. And oftentimes it's sour. So with fruitlessly working, we end up with nothing after working our whole lives. And you end up with nothing but karma and frustrations. So it's unfortunately, we're not using our human life properly. We should use it for glorification, for bhajan, for glorifying Radha Madhava. Bhaktivinod Thakur was worshipping Radha Madhava. Some of you have seen in Vrindavan during Kartik. It used to be, I don't think still now, but there was one devotee named Fakir Mohan who was looking after Bhaktivinod Thakur's deities in Orissa. And he would bring those deities of Bhaktivinod Thakur every year to Vrindavan during Kartik. Bhaktivinod. That's why you see in many of Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur's songs, Radha Madhava is mentioned. Jaya Radha Madhava. These are his deities, Radha Madhava. There's several songs like that. And he also worshipped Gaur Gadadhar, as we were hearing this morning. In one sense, he's like an expansion, not direct expansion, but empowered, you could say, empowered, in the mood of Gadadhar, Gadadhar Pandit, the internal There was an expansion of Radharani, a particular mood of Radha, internal energy of the Lord. And Bhaktivinod is coming from that platform, and he himself revealed his own constitutional position, as you know. Who knows who he is?
Something like Kama.
Pardon?
Something with Kama, the Manjari, in Krishna Lila.
In the spiritual realm, he's a servant. Of course, most of the acharyas are assistants of Rupa Manjari, mostly, or Rupa Goswami. That's where we're known as Rupanugas. That applies, not necessarily all, but mostly it's a line of Manjaris. And he's Kamala Manjari in the spiritual realm, one of the intimate assistants of Rupa Goswami in the spiritual world. So, in a sense, I don't know all the names of these various Vaishnavas, but Bhaktivinod Thakur, of course, was initiated by Vipina Bihari Goswami, who was also a Vaishnava, and I don't know what mood he was in, but the mood that Bhaktivinod Thakur was in was more akin with that of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, who was also in that mood of Manjari Bhav, so he took shelter of him as his Siksha Guru. But aside from that, Bhaktivinod Thakur, as we mentioned just now, revealed his own spiritual identity, which indicates he is in that mood, you could say, Gadadhar Pandit or whatever, but that mood of Madhurya Ras Bhav. So we'll sing this song, but this song is really down to earth. And he said, unfortunately, we haven't chanted the names, or we don't chant the names of Radha Madhava. Now, I assume that everyone here is chanting the name of Radha Madhava or Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this is a song for everyone to encourage everyone, because we have this human life, and he says we attain this human life, but unfortunately we're wasting it away. We're not engaging our senses in the service of Rishikesh, the master of the senses, and this human life, it can end at any moment. In another song, I think it's by Narottam Das Thakur, Bhaja Hure Mana, isn't it? Kamala Dala Jala Jivana Tala Mala Bhajo Hari Pada Dire. That this human life is like a drop of water on a lotus leaf, which may ping off at any moment. Any moment. And very fallible. Fallible. You know this word, fallible? English word, fallible? You've heard this? What is it in Swedish, fallible?
Bräckligt.
Pardon? What's that? Brexit? It is related to Brexit. Huh?
Bräckligt. Brexit.
Not Brexit. So it's related to that. It could be said that. I'm sure you said it right. I just can't. My ears are not very good, and the accent probably I can't quite pick it up. Any other? Can someone say it in loud and clear?
Bräckligt. Bräckligt.
That sounds Swedish to me. I don't know if it is. Is it Swedish?
Yeah.
No, what I meant is, do you know what the English word for fallible means in English? Do you know what it means? You all know what it means? Because it's now you know probably, because you've heard this. If you're correct, I assume you are. It's quite an easy word, because it could be able to fall able, fallible. Infallible means not fallable, can't fall. So it means like that, it's not secure. It's not secure. It can easily break, or easily, be terminated or fail, like that. Fail, able to fail, or able to fall, like that. So the living entity is in that precarious situation. We're blind. We try to avoid the reality, but we're in a very fallible condition. And so some of us are getting a little older. Anyone over 20? Getting old? And some of you may be even over 70. I don't embarrass everyone, but usually after 70 you're quite proud of your age, actually. It's like when you're young, you know, you're very keen to tell people how you are, how old you are. Then there's a period of kind of decades. I'm in my 20s, you know, in my 30s, 40s, 50s. When you get over 70, it becomes again like childlike or something. I'm 72 years and 5 months old right now. How old are you? I'm 73 years and 1 month old. Oh, I'm older than you. It's kind of like it becomes a different psychology again. It's funny. Many things like that. It goes in the cycle, you know. You end up like a child almost when you're leaving, you know, in your later years. You'll be looked after by everybody. You can't feed yourself. You can't sleep properly. All kinds of things. Or maybe you just sleep, whatever it is. Yeah, so let's sing this and then we'll get on with Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinod, more topics. Huh? So this song, if you've just arrived, we welcome you all and thank you very much for allowing us to come here. It's the first time in my life, this life, whatever, that we have had the opportunity to visit Almviks. I don't know how you pronounce it. Almviks? Gord? Almviks Gord. I learned that thing. I always called it Gard before. We have English pronunciation, nor coping, and all the. There's not some. You know, we pronounce it as it's written, basically. So we have Almviks Gord, and I've had a nice tour of Almviks Gord. It was very beautiful. We went here and there. We saw the bakery. We saw the vegetable gardens. We saw the cows. We saw the barn. We saw Maharaj's house. We went into. I can't remember Prabhu's name. I can't get. Janma. Yeah, Jamanalaya. Here he is. Hare Krishna. You have to excuse me. I have a little difficulty pronouncing the name. I don't know if just me. I'm English and we're terrible at these things. Janmanalaya Prabhu. Beautiful. We went. It's a beautiful gallery, and that was very nice. Where else did we go? We went to Marcel's house, of course. We were with him for years in France. And we went here. We went to the lake. Where else did we go? Pardon? Who's? Yeah, I said that. We went to Maharaj's house. And here and there. We had a walk around and very nice. Compact and very nice community here with storage. We went to the storage. We saw the wood machine, the cutting wood for making planks. We didn't go into the wood chip room, but I know these things. I've seen them before. So it's all very good. And now the cream on the cake is coming here with the devotees in the temple. We saw the kitchens, nice kitchens, the prasadam room, and we didn't see the book room, but I'm sure it's nice. Anywhere where Prabhupada's books are is very nice. And now we're here in the temple for the evening program. And thank you very much. And unfortunately, we have to go back to Krishna's Lord this evening. And tomorrow morning, we fly to England for 2 Rath Yatras at the weekend. And then on again next week for 2 more Rath Yatras. The weekend after, we had 2 Rath Yatras last weekend also. So it's Rath Yatras, Harinam Sankirtan, distributing books, and visiting, taking the opportunity to associate with the Vaishnavas. So thank you very much. This is actually 2-beat. Can you play 2-beat? Okay, we'll try. Gai Gora Madhu Sware. If anyone needs a book, I've got a spare one here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare. You have your own bore water? Is this from a bore? Or where is this from? This water?
It's from the underneath ground.
Yeah, bore, underground. Very nice water. Thank you. Grihe Thakur Vani Thakur Sadahari Bole Thakur Grihe Thakur Vani Thakur Sadahari Bole Sukhe Dukhe Pulonako Padane Hori Nam Korore Sukhe Dukhe Pulonako Padane Hori Nam Korore Gai Guru Marusare Gai Guru Marusare Gai Guru Marusare Gai Guru Marusare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Maya Jala Bado Hoye Acho Miche Kajulo Ye Bado Hoye Acho Miche Kajulo Ye Ekon Chaitanya Peye Radha Madhava Nam Bolore Ekon Chaitanya Peye Radha Madhava Nam Bolore Gai Gora Madhusare Gai Gora Madhusare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jivano hoilo sesh Nabajile Rishikesh Jivano sesh Nabajile Rishikesh Bhaktivinod Pradesh Ekpanam Rase Mathore Bhaktivinod Pradesh Ekpanam Rase Mathore. At least once in this lifetime, relish the holy name of Krishna. If once we relish the holy name of Krishna, we will have no taste for anything else. Only that which is in relationship with the holy name, like prasadam, but not for sense gratification. mundane. Jai Guru Madhu Sware Nam Jai Gora Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. We would carry on for a few more hours, but our time is short. You can go on forever chanting Hare Krishna. But we have 25 minutes at most. And Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur's appearance day today, this divine occasion, he appeared in this world on September the 2nd, 1838, almost 200 years ago, at a time when as we mentioned earlier, the situation of Gaudiya Vaishnavism in India was in very bad shape. And there were devotees who were maintaining the pure process, but they were basically alienated or not associating in general with the people of the world. Bhaktivinod now has brought it back into the light, out of the darkness, back into the light so that people can, I think this is the microphone, isn't it? So that it becomes accessible again. It had been lost after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's immediate followers, and then the next generation. Gradually it became lost. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, of course, to a large extent rekindled that light. But over the next few generations, by the time Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur arrived, his childhood name was Kedarnath Dutt. He appeared in a village called Ulagram, born in a very rich family. Our mother and father's side both quite well off. But misfortune quickly came, materially speaking. Krishna often arranges these things through his pure devotees to show us also, to teach us also, that no matter what the obstacle is, no matter what the setback is, that will happen in this material world. It never stops in this material world. You could say they're also tests to strengthen us, but the pure devotees show us how to pass through these periods of trial and tribulation, which may come and may not come, but often do come. And Bhaktivinod Thakur's family life became very changed. He was very opulent at the beginning. Elephants, they had all sorts of things. But then after a while, his grandparents passed away. They were very rich, the family heritage coming through there. His father passed away. Some of the family squandered whatever wealth they had vast wealth. And then his 4 brothers, they all passed away before he was 11 years old. He lost all of his brothers. He was a sole boy in the family. And his mother, basically he and his mother were the only ones living like that. I think he had a sister. But by the time he was 12, his mother had him married. She got him married. A childhood marriage. It was very common, still is maybe in some villages, particularly in Bengal. And his wife was 5 years old, very young. These, of course, nowadays, this is not recommended. I'll not say recommended by modern society. If it's done properly, it's very effective, it's very beneficial. But again, he got married. He wasn't really into Krishna consciousness at this time. He wasn't manifesting it at all. His family were mostly Shakti worshippers. He was more inclined to a little bit to impersonalism, exposed to that. And then he became accustomed to, he was very scholarly, extremely scholarly from the beginning. He had scholarly tendencies. He actually wrote his first book when he was 12 years old, called the Poriad. And he was studying the Quran, the Bible, the Vedas, different literatures to, just see what it's all about. But primarily so that he could understand exactly what was going on there. At least he had the knowledge of what was going on there. And he studied these. He was more of the tendency looking towards Jesus. Everyone can understand Jesus Christ, whatever you believe the philosophy or not. Everyone has to accept that, if it's true at all, he's an emblem of compassion, an emblem of kindness, of mercy. So we could see that, but more than anywhere else where he was at that time, let's say, exposed to, that Jesus Christ was extremely compassionate, and he thought that this was more beneficial, for sure, for humankind, rather than just philosophy with no seeming follow-up or no seeming benefit to humanity as such. So humanitarian is a stage which maybe even materially sometimes, Jai Shishi Panchatattva Ki Jai, which can have its, you could say, its foundational aspects. Prabhupada was a follower of Gandhi, for instance, another humanitarian idea. So like that, but as he grew, he was married, he was educated, but by the time he was about 18 years old, he had to work. His family situation was so bad, he had to immediately take occupation as a teacher. He worked as a teacher in Orissa for some time, and tried to get some income from the family. His wife passed away very young also. They only just basically started life as a grihastha couple when she passed away. They had a child I believe also passed away. It was seen to be a ongoing scenario. He also suffered many bouts of fever throughout his life. Tests. The different tests, you could say, to help us to realize that Krishna consciousness is not bound or not necessarily dependent upon these things. Of course, we're neophytes, so to a large extent, the external events that go on do affect our consciousness. That's why it's so important to associate with devotees, and why it's so important to have a good sadhana program to help protect us from the effects of duality of this world, which are inevitable. Can't avoid it. Sukhe dukhe bula nako. Happy or distressed, always fill your lips with the holy name. Keep chanting through thick and thin. This is one lesson we can learn from this. This is tomorrow's Haridas Thakur's Tirobhav, and we won't be here, we won't be anywhere, we'll be on the plane. But somehow or another, tomorrow is the disappearance day of Haridas Thakur, and one of his primary lessons there, Vrindavan Das Thakur points out, Haridas told us to keep chanting the holy Nirmantara Namalao. In any situation, chant the holy name. Not just when it's, let's say ritualistically ordained, now it's time to chant, now I've got to chant my 16 rounds finished, now I've got to go to Arti, or maybe I don't have to, but it's the time for Arti. Once a week I go on Harinam in Stockholm or somewhere. That's so fair, that's also fine, that's wonderful. But Nirantara Namalao means always, without break. Learning how to always, not say learning how to chant, we can do that, but it's actually awakening the natural spontaneity to always chant. But the recommendation here is no matter what happens to practice chanting, we're in the practicing stage. So Bhaktivinod Thakur taught this also. We should always chant the holy name of Krishna. So he got married again to a devotee, very nice devotee wife, Bhagavati Devi Dasi, and they had like 12 kids or something, quite a lot. So at that time, right about when he got married, he came across a bona fide edition of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And as soon as he read this he'd heard of Lord Chaitanya obviously, but never came across a bona fide text. So it's a bona fide text. And he read that text, and immediately his anuraga, was this spontaneous mood of attraction towards Krishna, awoke within his heart. He wasn't like he had to practice or anything. He was already there. The eternal constitutional position. He's an eternal associate of the Lord. He's not an ordinary Nityabhada, but he appeared to be one for a while, but actually he's a Nityasiddha. So he immediately awoke him when the time was right. When the time's right. The great devotees manifest their pure devotee. Even Lord Chaitanya didn't manifest his mood of Sankirtan up to the age of, well, some said 18, some 20. It varies. Until he took initiation from Ishvara Puri, he wasn't showing this spirit. He was a wrangling pandit, as they describe. They loved to debate and nyaya and all kinds of paths of philosophy and grammar and so on, and debating with scholars. He was having his childhood fun in Navadvip, Mayapur. But having taken initiation from Ishvara Puri, then boom, he revealed the Yuga Dharma Sankirtan movement. And so Bhaktivinod Thakur also, on reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, immediately everything changed. And he became, the rest of his life was dedicated to devotional service, presenting Krishna consciousness in a digestible way to people in general, through the form of literatures. He wrote numerous literatures, and maybe some of you are familiar with some of the books he wrote, I don't know. Prabhupada does many times refer to these various books of Srila. In fact, Prabhupada's books are based, on all the Acharya's commentaries, including the books of Bhaktivinod Thakur. And the book that Prabhupada recommended most, you could say, or books he recommended most, what are some of the famous ones? Bhaktivinod's books, famous ones. Jaiva Dharma. That's usually considered to be the essential text, you could say, which Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur gave to the world. Chaitanya Shikshamrita is kind of a corollary to that, follows a similar theme, but it's a little less deep. It doesn't go so deep, you could say, but it gives much more on the social level, where everything can be connected to the path, which was, of course, one of the predictions of Bhaktivinod Thakur, which he wrote in the 1880s. He predicted that the day will come when, in all the towns and cities of the world, wherever it may be, even in Sweden, everywhere, the people will be going through their towns and streets and villages, cities, whatever, chanting the holy names of the Lord, Jai Sachinandan and so on, with drums and kartals and banners, and just, this Vaishnava Dharma will suddenly awaken everywhere, and all other dharmas, all other religions will flow into the river of Vaishnava Dharma on the path of pure bhakti, back home, back to Godhead. He predicted the day when will that day come, And he also predicted a little bit later that very soon a personality will appear in this world to fulfill this prediction. Who will go all over the world spreading the holy name of Krishna. Of course, that different devotees may question who that is, but as this prediction was made, and Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj appeared in the world in 1874, this prediction was made between then and when Srila Prabhupada appeared. So you could say, logically speaking, it certainly refers to Srila Prabhupada. Obviously, it refers to the great personality of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta in another way, but traveling all over the world was specific to our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. So this was another prediction of Prabhupada's coming to spread the holy name everywhere. And through another thing which Bhaktivinod, of course, introduced, or reintroduced, you could say, was the massive distribution and production of literatures. So Jaiva Dharma, Chaitanya Shikshamrita, what other books did he produce that are quite famous? Harinam Chintamani, maybe? You've heard of that? Quite famous. Godruma Kalpatavi, Namahat. He established around about 550 Namahats. You know what Namahat is? It's not that little hat that Mahavishnu Swami wears. That's a Namahat also. It's a hat with the holy name on, Namahat. What's a Namahat? Huh? Yeah, well, Bhakti-Viksha is, you could say, a more specific aspect of Namahata program, which becomes a little bit more, lined up. And the Godruma Kalpa to V describes a lot the structure of this Bhakti Vriksha program. The Namahat means in all the villages, the Nam in all the markets, in every marketplace. Here we go. Lord Nishananda went to, what's that beautiful song we sing? Nadia Godrume Nityananda Mahajan. How Lord Nishananda would go everywhere to all the marketplaces spreading the holy name. Boro Sukhe Kabobai, Boro Sukhe Kabobai. Beautiful songs. How Nityananda would go everywhere. So Bhaktivinod took this mood up too, and he established hundreds and hundreds of these Namahat, groups of people in all the villages coming together to perform kirtan. Then he structured it more, if you read in Godruma Kalpatavi, Bhakti Vriksha, a very systematic lineup, different persons taking different roles to get the result, purposeful result of that, to guide people along their path of bhakti. Systematic, more or less. He didn't form any particular institution for the purpose thereof. That was done by Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj. It was more just setting the scene or establishing the correct Siddhanta, etc., through his literatures, through his teachings, his personal example. His life was impeccable. I mean, his daily schedule, when he'd moved to Puri after being married sometime. He actually became a magistrate. He was very educated, and the British noted that he was an extremely capable person and very loyal. If he was going to do something, he was loyal, even if it was for the British in control. And he became the chief magistrate there in Orissa, in Puri, for a long time. They also made him the head of the temple commander of the Jagannath temple. And whilst he was there, he straightened up all the offerings to what the standards should be, 54 or 56 offerings daily. It would become very slack. He also cut out all the misappropriation of funds. Even the king, it said, was misappropriating temple funds, and he stopped all of this. The king tried to take revenge on him, practically speaking, and performed a yajna to kill Bhaktivinod Thakur. He got Brahmins to perform this great yajna. Instead of Bhaktivinod Thakur being killed by the yajna, the king's son died after the yajna was completed. So, in this way, he was very strict. He was very strict in his behavior. He wouldn't tolerate anything in the court. No humbug, he said. Everything was dealt with sufficiently. Boom, 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 like this. We haven't got much time left, have we? We better jump forward. Well, with this story there of Bishikishen, we won't tell it, but he uncovered the cheating mentality of all these various bogus groups. Some of them were, getting many followers. Bishikishen had tens of thousands of followers. He was claiming to be God, and he was cheating them. But he was all kinds of things. Eventually he was arrested for treason, actually. Bhaktivinod tried him for treason. He's speaking against the British government. And anyway, that's another story. And he wouldn't tolerate any nonsense, especially anyone who imitating or cheating like this. And whilst he was there in Puri, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj appeared in this world. He moved back to Krishnanagar, which was near Krishnanagar, to Godruma, where he had been posted. He managed to get a posting in Krishna. He wanted to be near Mayapur. And he lived, as you know, many of you have been to Mayapur. You must most likely have been to Godruma and seen the house of Bhaktivinod Thakur there, where the little railway line goes along. That was built by the British, so he could easily go from there to Krishnanagar to attend to his duties there. They really held him highly in their governmental departments in India at that time, in Bengal and Orissa. So while he was there in Navadvip, he also discovered in the Bhagavad Gita the famous verse, Janma Karma Chamedevam Evam Yo Viditatvata, one who understands the transcendental nature. My appearance and my activities does not take birth again in this world, but attains to the spiritual realm. So he established this, this particular verse, he fulfilled what Lord Krishna is saying in this verse by establishing the actual birthplace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's quite a little longer story, but he discovered that actual place with various reference to maps, confirmation by a spiritual master, various signs which were there in that particular holy place. He also saw from a distance the effulgence rising from that particular spot at Yoga Peak, and various other factors. Also discovering the deity of Adokshita Krishna, which was worshipped by Jagannath Mishra, the father of Lord Chaitanya, and so on. All that was confirmation that this is surely the spot where Mahaprabhu appeared in this world, at Yoga Peak in Mayapur. Even maps, old maps showed this to be the site of Mayapur, on very old maps. So in this way he established and built a nice temple there, arranged for the building of a temple there on that spot in Yoga Peak. He also, as Prabhupada points this out quite often, in 1896, he sent his book, Sri Chaitanya's Life and Precepts, or something like that, to the Western world. First by Gaudiya Vaishnava literature to the Western world, 1896, same year where Prabhupada appeared. Prabhupada considered that very significant. It wasn't by chance. Srila Prabhupada's life was dedicated to book distribution. Prabhupada spent his life and blood for publishing books, writing and having books published and distributed all over the world. This was how the mission, and Bhaktivinod really started this, we could say, mass book distribution program. It wasn't mass during Bhaktivinod's Thakur's time exactly, but it was the foundation of that. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj took it to that level more. But Bhaktivinod had many magazines. He was producing regular magazines on the science of Krishna consciousness and so on and so forth. But he sent this book 1896 to the Western world, to McGill University in Montreal, to London, a few other places it went. He also sent a book to Ralph Waldo Emerson, a famous American philosopher or something, and that was called Krishna Samhita, another famous book of Bhaktivinod Thakur, which was geared towards Western empiricists in the West who had this kind of like trying to kind of measure Vedic culture, Vedic history and so on. And it's written specifically to kind of try to draw their attention, and once getting their attention and giving them the proper understanding of Krishna consciousness. But it was in Bengali, and Ralph Waldo Emerson could not read Bengali, so he wrote back saying, "Thank you for the gift. If you have an English version, please, because I don't read Bengali." But anyway, at least he received and responded. And like that, and then the time went on. Of course, he took initiation, as we mentioned already, but primarily he considered Jagannath Das Babaji as his primary inspiration in this regards, for obvious internal reasons, in terms of their particular swarup. He never talked about this very much in public, although there are some occasions where apparently he did, but not in public, never do, about swarup and so on. But then in late years went by, and preaching was going on, and so many things were happening, and he decided he wanted to go into more seclusion at a certain point of time. He built what's called Bhakti Bhavan in Calcutta, and there he went into seclusion. We've got 1 or 2 minutes left, so we're just rushing here through things. And then he spent the last years of his life more or less in seclusion there, in the Bhakti Bhavan, and left this mortal world there in that abode, in that Bhakti Bhavan, chanting the holy names of Krishna. And he initiated a few disciples here and there during his life. Not so many Diksha disciples, but many Siksha disciples, or those who followed his path of teaching. And primarily amongst those, of course, his own son. Other sons also followed. Lalit Prasad, for instance, described his daily schedule. That was one of Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj's brothers, another son of Bhaktivinod, although they didn't see eye to eye on some certain aspects of Siddhanta or philosophy, conclusive philosophy. But he explained, and Prasad said that Bhaktivinod Thakur used to go to bed around about 8 o'clock at night. He was an early bird, but he would get up before most people go to bed. He would be up by 10. That was it. And from 10 till 4 in the morning, he was writing all night. But I mean, God, if you read his books, hundreds of books, thousands of songs, hundreds of songs at least. And, written in such an amazing way that here's somebody who's definitely a Mukta Purush who can see everything exactly for what it is and not have to investigate here, there, and go with hundreds of people running around on the Google map. Google, what's it? Google Guru? Google Guru. Asking all these questions on Google and this and that. Or going on the database, search mode, and none of that was available. He's just from whatever he internally Krishna's like giving it, and externally whatever is there was also put in, and amazingly constructed, so perfectly systematic. We can't, to do a systematic book, you have to remember everything you put in the beginning. You've got to know exactly what's going on there, otherwise you just get lost. Completely, perfectly systematic, and he was known as the Seventh Goswami. He was so powerful and so, just so. He used to walk around with a stopwatch, Tick, everything was by the second. Tick. Not just like in ISKCON, everything on the second, right? Everything exactly on time, right? Isn't it? Exactly, I'm sure. Sweden, you must be. Everything must be on time, perfectly. Not exactly. But he was like that. Everything was bang on time. Get up at 10, 4 o'clock in the morning, start chanting japa, boom, 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 straight away. A few hours of japa. Then he would take a little nap, 15 minutes. Then he'd get up and study scriptures. And then he'd, maybe answer letters or walk up and down, debating with himself on philosophical points. He'd take a little bath, take a little breakfast, get ready, go to the court, do his morning 3 or 4 hours session, come home, take lunch, continue in the afternoon writing, typing, little time in the evening with the family, and then boom, back to bed. Take a little prasad. He liked chapatis and milk, and then back to bed again. And clockwork, practically. Well, obviously when you're traveling or some emergency, but in general, clockwork like that. Okay, well, time is up. We have to move along to the next stage of this glorification, that is Divine Grace Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinod Thakur. And so we don't have much more, we don't have any more time. We would try to extract more nectar. By hearing these pastimes, Bhaktivinod himself says, by hearing the pastimes or the life of great souls, one develops confidence, determination, and satisfaction. Help us to get free of our attraction to the material world by associating with these great personalities. By hearing about them as a form of association. By reading their books, this goes even deeper. Associate with these great persons, and by association our consciousness is naturally changed. So today's a great chance to associate with Bhaktivinod Thakur. What an opportunity. Amazing. One devotee in Krishna's God this morning was saying that, who was it? I wonder was Sunanda? Is it someone named Sunanda? In Sweden? Sunanda? Sudama? I can't remember. Huh? Sudama? Sundar? Actually dressed those Radha-Madhava deities when they were in Vrindavan. Bhaktivinod had Gaur-Gadadhar deities, and Radha-Madhava deities he worshipped. And Hare Krishna. Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinod Thakur ki jai. Hare Krishna. Nice to see some of you young devotees. I know some of you came. Who came to New Mayapur a few years ago? You did, I know. You came? 3 of you? Anyone else? You were there with the boys and girls. Some of the girls were there. You came too. Any young ladies? There was one young lady here just now, didn't she? Not there. Just left. Anyway, thanks. Nice to see you again. I hear you go on book distribution and Harinam, some of you. Is that right? Yeah? Book distribution, Harinam? Wish we could stay long enough to go out. This is the real... If you really want to understand, Krishna can do everything, every service, no doubt. But this is like a fast-track way of bringing to the surface what needs to be cleaned out, and really seeing how people, Maya Jala Vadahoye Atromachi Kajala, just seeing how people are toiling and struggling in this world, fruitlessly, you could say. And in a real inspiration, you real get the mercy, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, by distributing books and chanting the holy name in the villages and towns, wherever you are. And Nityananda's mercy. Nityananda's mercy is said to be available to those who preach to the Jagais and Madais. You may have a few Jagais and Madais in Sweden, I don't know. Little, small time ones anyway. And by preaching to them you get Nityananda's mercy. And to get Mahaprabhu's mercy, you need Nityananda's mercy. To get the mercy of the residents of Vrindavan, by the mercy of Mahaprabhu, you can be introduced. To get the mercy of Radharani, you have to get the mercy of her associates. And then only you can get the mercy of Krishna. So this preaching is definitely the mercy of the great Vaishnavas, like Bhaktivinod Thakur, giving us this chance to participate in this great, you could say, mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur ki jai. Hare Krishna, thank you all very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Hari Bol. Gauranga. Oh, I just wanted to show you one thing. I know it's time, but this is so special. Last year in October, the Parama Karuna Ashram in Moscow made an appeal for help to buy new vehicles for their Prabhupada Christmas marathon. So as I had a little connection with them, a little bit, I sent some money. It wasn't a vast amount, but it was a reasonable amount, to help them get vehicles so they could go out and Sankirtan. So great, and that was wonderful. They thanked us for that, and they got the vehicles. And then just recently in May, when I came back to France from a journey somewhere, one senior devotee from Russia, his name is Madam Mohan Prabhu Brahmachari, gave me a call, I know him well, and he phoned up and said, Maharaj, did you get a parcel? I said, I don't know anything about a parcel from Moscow at least. He said, well, maybe someone there knows about it. So they did. They just hadn't told me. So they brought in this parcel, I opened it up, and they said, please film him when he opens the parcel, please. And this happened to be the day, when I opened this parcel up, happened to be the day, anniversary of Prabhupada's arrival in Moscow in 1971, in May, whatever it was. And I opened up the parcel, and in the parcel eventually I came to this little box, little tiny box. The parcel was about 6 or 8 times bigger than this. But this little box was inside, and I was almost outside. Parama Karuna Mandir, Moscow. Beautiful. You can look at it afterwards. Now I still didn't know what was inside. I opened it. There it says, there you can see there's obviously Vrindavan, but there it says, to Janananda Goswami, with deep gratitude for your support of Srila Prabhupada's Sankirtan mission. So they personalized it, you see? Little box. Then they opened the next flap, and there was Prabhupada in Moscow here, and Prabhupada in Vrindavan in 1971. And I took this out of here, so you got like kind of like a little altar there, really. And I opened this, and amazing, I couldn't believe my eyes. It was like stunning, overwhelmed, didn't know what to say. But inside this little wrap-up here was an amazing little deity of Srila Prabhupada. He's so immaculate. You can see each neck bead. You can see his nails. You can see the veins on his hands, on his forehead. You can see everything there. You can see the buttons. You can see his fingernails. You can see his toenails. It's like unbelievable, so small. And my God, was he incredible. Then it came with a video saying how they made him. They had a beautiful, big-sized deity of Srila Prabhupada, and they they photographed it from every angle and got a perfect replica or whatever for a mold. And they made a mold of that deity. And how did they make such beautiful little deities like this? During their marathon, they decided to show their gratitude to all the devotees who helped them get their vehicles. They melted down the coins that they collected on Sankirtan. I think it's illegal, but they did it anyway. They melted, I don't know how many, but they melted a lot of them down, because coins are the most perfect thing on the planet to make accurate reproductions. They're coins. It's coin metal. Right? Fine, everything, perfect blend. They used that, they melted it all down, so by heat they became purified, and they made hundreds of these little deities of Prabhupada. I don't know hundreds, but a lot. And they sent each devotee who gave, I guess, a reasonable donation, or whatever, I don't know, but they sent these little deities of Prabhupada personalized. Isn't it wonderful? You can come and have a look at him afterwards if you want. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So that happened just this May this year. Hare Krishna. Fire away. Sorry, I've gone overboard now. Take it away. What we do now? Samsaradava?
We looking Guru Bhaktivinod, he's the long great Bhaktivinod Thakur. And
You have arti at the same time?
yeah,
Okay, let's go. Shall I sing or what? Samsaradava nalalita loka Tvanaya karanaga naga naga tvam vam Praptasya kalyana gunanavasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
Prapasya kalyana gunanavasya Vande Guru Shri Sharanarvinda
Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nritya Gita Varitramadya Manasora Sena
Mahaprabhu Kirtanarya Gita Vadritramadya Manasora Sena
Romanchakam Kutaranga Vajo Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
Romanchakanta Shutarangavajo Vande Guru Shri
Shri Vigrahara Dhananityanana Shringara Kama Mandiramajanaro Yutasya Bhatam Shanikunjatopi Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam If you get my songbook back, I'll give you a songbook. Chaturvidashi Bhagavat Krishnano Shavanatirtham Harivakrishnana
Chaturvidashi Bhagavat Krishnano
What you do? It's Devatim Pachitota Deva Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Shirari Kama Davayorapara Madhuya Lila Patikshana Dhanalolupasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
Pratikshana Dhanalolupasya Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Nikunjayuno Ratitaya Jaya Mahananda Vande Guru Sri One of the ladies took the book for reading during the song. We went to one of the ladies. I don't know who went to. Chacharari Tvena Samasta Shastre Uttasatama Yate Utati Chacharari Tvena Samasta Shastre Yaiva Satya Pande Guru Sri Karunavarindam Yasha Prasada Bhagavat Prasado Yasha Prasada Yasha Prasada
Bhagavat Prasada Yasya Prasada Nagadikatopi
Jayam Subham Prasaya Satchitanandam Pande Guru Sri Karunavarindam
Jayam Subham Prasaya Satchitanandam Vande Guru Sri
Pande Guru Sri Karunavarindam Pande Guru Sri Karunavarindam
Vande Guru Sri
Pande Guru Sri Karunavarindam Pande Guru Sri Karunavarindam Om Jnanatimirandasya Dhananjana Shalakaya Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Jnanatimirandasya Dhananjana Shalakaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugam Pravayate Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanugam Pravayate Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasareti Gaura Bhaktavinod Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasareti Gaura Bhaktavinod Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Srila Bhaktivinod Thakur ki jai. Go Premanandi. Hare Krishna. Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharya Stata Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinod Thakur ki jai. Go Premanandi, all glorious to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Namaste Vidaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Station. Now Pushpanjali now. What are you going to do? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. We have a different tray of flowers now. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Can you